Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kilowatt, a podcast about electric vehicles, renewable energy, autonomous driving, and much, much more. My name is Bodie, and I am your host. And on today's episode, we are going to cover some news, some EV news. I got a little echo in my headset here. Let me see if I can't get rid of that. Echo, 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 echo. Can everybody else hear that, or is it just me? Here we go. Let's turn this off, this off. No more echo. All right. This is a strong start to the podcast today. So we're on officially the Believe, BLEAV, podcasting network, and we have new show art. If you like, I didn't do any episode art for this episode, or I'm not going to do any episode art for this episode because I want you to see the new show art. It's a very similar throwback to the last show art that we had that was in gray and white, but this is in orange and blues, and I don't know. I really like the way it came out. The gentleman who did it for me is somebody that I've used many, many, many times for different things throughout the years, and I honestly think that he nailed it. So you can, you should be able to just look and see. And I think, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure that the folks over at Believe added, because it says Kilowatt up at the top, and then I'm pretty sure they added a little banner below Kilowatt, and it says an electric vehicles podcast. And honestly, I'm not mad at it. I didn't notice that before. Hold on. I'm going to check my email and see what I sent them. I think it looks better. I think they improved the artwork, which was already pretty good. Let's see. Anyway, so if you're looking at it, let me know what you think. I honestly love it. So they added some things and they made it better. So awesome. Thank you to the folks who did that over at Believe, because it looks a lot better. All right. What are we going to talk about today? Oh, news. So in the middle of the show, in between our EV news and our Tesla news, I do have a question for everybody, but let's jump into the EV news first. Starting off, I just kind of wanted to go over some of the EVs that I'm excited about in 2026. I'm seeing a lot of people in the written media that are writing all their fun, exciting things that they're looking forward to in 2026. And I've looked at all of them, or as many as I could, and I'm excited for some of them, but not all of them. So here are the things that I'm really excited about in 2026 in terms of EVs. First of all, the Bolt and the Leaf EV, those new versions of those vehicles I'm super stoked on. We should see the Slate this year, although I would not be surprised if the Slate does not slip till 2027. Just because they're a startup and they're going to have problems. Maybe they'll get a few out before the end of the year, but mainly we'll start seeing more in 2027. Jeff Bezos is an investor, so if Jeff wants to continue throwing money at this company, at some level they will continue building vehicles, and then eventually it won't make sense if they can't sell any of them. But I think they're going to do a pretty decent job at being able to sell this vehicle. And then the Kia EV3, even though we might not get that car here in the US, I'm excited about that. Affordable, compact EV. The BMW iX3 looks fantastic. And the Mercedes CLA, also fantastic. I am not, and I've said this several times, back in the summer, Lamar Wilson was looking at buying a BMW, and he was on the show, and send a little shout out to Lamar and a fond memory for sure. I was kind of, I'm not a big fan of the Mercedes or the BMW, but the iX3 and the CLA, I think those two cars look fantastic. Like, those are two cars that I would be proud to have in my garage. By the way, the iX3 has well over 3,000 pre-orders just in Germany. So I think that car is going to do pretty well. And I wouldn't be surprised if the CLA didn't have just as many, if not more. And then I think the Volvo EX60 is going to be really interesting, the EV version. which I think the EC60 is the gas version. The Rivian R2, I'm really hoping Rivian's able to pull a surprise hit out of their pocket, out of their hat, because this is going to be let's say it's got classic Rivian styling, right? But I'm not sure it's going to be a humongous hit right out the gate. I think it's a little boxy. It looks a little off. I think it looks great, but I'm curious as to how many people will buy it initially. I think it will be a success eventually, but I think it might take some convincing. And there's plenty of hardcore Rivian fans out there that would buy this car for sure. And then the Honda Zero or Honda O series, I'm not I just want to see what happens with that car. It's just very interesting. It looks like somebody from the 1970s drew a car that was supposed to be futuristic for the 2026s. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that car does. And then two cars I'm not 100% that will come out in 2026 would be the Lucid Earth, which is their mid-priced SUV, somewhere around $50,000 SUV. I did read an article that they were rolling some of these prototype cars off the line, but they haven't shown anything off yet. And it's not to say that they won't ever. I'm just saying 2026 is may or may not be the year we see that car, deliveries of that car. We'll definitely see it in 2026, but I don't know if we'll see deliveries. But also I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with the Earth. And then everybody here knows I am not a Toyota fan at all, but there is going to be a Toyota Tacoma EV, and I do think that is a space that needs more attention. So I feel confident it's not going to be super cheap, but it probably won't be ridiculously expensive either as compared to what an EV truck looks like. And, as much as I bash on Toyota, it's not Toyota's fault. It's people in my life that own Toyotas. It's their fault as to why I bash on Toyota. Toyota's a fine company. It's got really good engineers. I don't think they necessarily have been taking EV seriously, but hopefully, they're able to be successful with the Tacoma EV. I think it's a cool idea. All right, so those are the vehicles I'm looking forward to in 2026. What are you looking forward to in 2026? Send me an email. It's Bodie, BODIE at 918digital.com. All right, moving on to our next article. EVs outsold internal combustion engines or gas cars in Europe, the European Free Trade Association, and UK. Now, I don't know if those are all the same thing or all different things. I know the UK is not a part of the EU anymore, so I'm adding that all in just to cover my bets. But EVs outsold ICE cars in 2025 in that combined group. This is the first time that this has happened. So in December of 2025, there were 3,000 ICE vehicles sold, 381,000 hybrids, and 254,449 internal combustion engines. One thing that I thought was interesting on this is that Tesla's European sales dropped 37.2%. And that wasn't in December of 2025. That was for all of 2025, Tesla's decline. And today, as I record this, Wednesday, January 28th, Tesla will be doing their shareholder meeting, and we'll for sure be covering that, and I'll get that out as soon as I possibly can. Moving on to our next story, there's still a lot. People are still talking about donut labs, and we're coming up on test drives. We don't know the official day for Verge motorcycle test drives, but we're getting close enough where I thought it might be interesting to revisit all of Donut Labs' promises now that we're kind of we're kind of in that in-between time. We're a few weeks away from their announcement of their solid-state battery, but we're also a few weeks away from people being able to test drive these vehicles. Now, are they going to be able to tear them apart? No, they're going to do test rides. That's what they're going to do. So let's start off with their first claim, which is it's a full solid state battery, not, semi-solid state, which, in a semi-solid state battery, they use a small amount of gel electrolyte. One of the things that I was told in the booth, but I didn't know if it was public knowledge or not, so I've been kind of not saying anything, but no lithium ion in the battery pack at all. So we'll not use any lithium in the battery pack. That's a big claim. It's not impossible, but definitely a big claim. By the way, I'm saying this because I have heard other people report it, so it's not. I didn't want to say something out of pocket that I shouldn't have said if somebody mentioned it. But yeah, so full solid state battery, no lithium in the chemistry whatsoever. 400 watt hours per kilogram of energy density. More energy density means a lighter battery pack. So this is obviously good news. However, current lithium ion EV batteries are about at best, not on average, at best are 300 watt hours per kilogram. So this would be significantly better than the best EV batteries that we have currently. And then recharge in as little as 5 minutes. Verge Motorcycle has a 20 or 33 kilowatt hour battery. When I was talking to, I can't even remember Ethan, maybe the gentleman's name. But when I was talking to him, we talked a little bit about, what's the charging curve look like? And he basically said there really isn't much of a charging curve. It's like just, up and to the right. Pretty steep when it comes to charging this battery. We'll see. Bigger batteries, I'm sure it's going to take longer. Plus, you have to also have the charger to support that kind of speed. But that is something that's interesting. And then the one, I find this all. I have a healthy dose of skepticism for all of this, but the one thing is the 100,000 charge cycles. So it means you can charge the battery 100,000 times over its life. That's a lot. Most EV batteries have a few thousand charge cycles. It's not to say that they don't, it's, what they have is inadequate. I'm just saying 100,000 is significantly more than what most EV batteries can take in terms of charge cycles. So that one, we'll see how that goes. Let's see. The batteries will hold 99% capacity when operating in temps between 22 degrees Fahrenheit and 212 degrees Fahrenheit, which, hopefully we don't ever have to experience 212 degrees Fahrenheit. But still, that's a bold claim. This is not so for current EV batteries for sure. And then the reason why I bring this up is last week I was listening to a podcast, and I can't remember what the podcast was. It was like a one-off that somebody recommended, I think on LinkedIn or whatever, and I was just happened to be at work, and I was like, I'll listen to this while I check out the truck. So it's not a podcast that I listen to regularly. I wish I had remembered what it was, because honestly, I would probably go back and listen again. But these are sophisticated investors. I don't know if they're angel investors or they're venture capitalists, but based on things that they have said or that they said during the podcast, I was like, well, these guys seem what they know what they're talking about in terms of putting their money behind something. And the group gave the company the benefit of the doubt, but they also had a healthy side of skepticism. So, yeah. So I want this to be true. I definitely want Donut to be successful. I want them to be able to deliver on all of their promises. It would be amazing for EVs. Also, I believe it's better and easier to underpromise and overdeliver. They made a lot of very bold claims, And even if they meet 4 out of those 5, there will be people who are like, it's only getting 80,000 charge cycles, not 100,000. It seems a little petty, but when you make these kind of bold claims, you're going to have to stick to them. So we'll see if they're able to deliver on this or not. I think all of this is probably mostly true, but there will be caveats. Then those caveats seem to, they're yet to be revealed, but we'll see where it goes. Okay, that is our EV news. That does bring me to a couple of different things. One, if you want to support the show, you can go to supportkilowatt.com and you can choose to support the show on Supercast or on Patreon. And if you support the show for as little as $1, you get a ad-free show. So if that's something that is important to you, $1 a month, you can take away all of these ads. I haven't done the math, but I'm pretty sure it costs me money to offer that at $1 a month. But there we are. I still have that ability. I did not upgrade to the next Patreon. Not upgrade. I didn't update my Patreon account. I'm still on the old legacy account, so I don't think once you update, I don't think you can offer those $1 things anymore, or maybe it just doesn't make financial sense. I'm not sure it makes financial sense now, to be honest with you. But okay, so that's the first thing. Support the show if you would like an ad-free experience, or if you just want to support the show. All the money goes back into the show. None of the Patreon money goes into my own pocket. And then in terms of something new I would like to try, I've been getting a lot of offers to try different products out. Some of those products could fit the purview of this show, and some of them don't. What I'm wondering is would you be okay if we did a whole episode of the actual news, and at the end of a show, I gave you some thoughts on a product that I reviewed? Because here's the thing, as I retire in 1 year, 5 months, and like a week, right? I don't want to go and get another job. I'll be 52 when I retire, and I have no desire to go and work full-time somewhere. I have no desire to put on pants. I like wearing shorts. I don't have to wear pants at work, except for sometimes. But my goal is to do this kind of thing full-time. So I'm trying to learn how to do a product review. I'm trying to, make interesting connections with folks so that this is something that I could do. It's not like I haven't been inundated, but I've had at least 3 people ask, 4 if you count the the group that I turned down when I didn't even consider it. I was like, nah, that's not what I do. They're like, we'll send you this thing that costs $2,000 to try in your house. And I was like, nah, I'm okay. I should have took a step to think about that for a second more. But anyway, none of these folks are offering me money to test their products. They're just like, hey, would you like to test this? And I would like to do that. Would that be bothersome for anybody out there if I put it at the end of the show? Or I can make it its own episode. It seems like to me to make it its own episode would be less about what the show is about and kind of splitting things. But if I tagged it on at the end of an episode, I think that would be more maybe palatable. But let me know. It's Bodie, Bodie at 918digital.com. Now, if I can give you an example, I don't have one of these to test out, but I was invited yesterday on Tuesday, the 27th of January. I was invited to go test out the Nosh automatic AI cooking machine. And basically, you throw the ingredients in a tray. There's like an AI camera. You pick what you want it to make based on the ingredients that you have in the tray. And then it's got a spice rack that is really cool on top. And then it, creates some delicious dish. I had buttered garlic chicken bites. And here's the thing. I love Indian food. I have a hard time with meat. I don't like the texture of meat. So I eat only beef. Excuse me, I don't eat beef. I don't eat beef or pork. I will eat chicken, and it tends to be chicken breast because chicken thighs or the dark meat just has this consistency and this texture that I don't like at all. But the gentleman who was walking me through this, Amit, the founder or co-founder, obviously he doesn't know this, and I will admit that dark meat tends to be a little bit more flavorful. But so he had it all in there, and he was showing it to me, and the machine cooked it up. It took about 14 minutes. We added a couple of minutes to it to cook the chicken a little bit longer, not because it needed to, but it was just like, do you want it to cook a little bit longer? And I prefer to have my meat a little bit better done, especially chicken. So we cooked it for another 2 minutes, and listen, it was good. It was really good, and it was super simple, and I was able to have a nice conversation with Amit, and it was like a nice experience. Right now, they don't have anything that they're selling here in the U.S., but soon they're going to have a Kickstarter. So as we get closer to that, I will let you know. But that was a cool experience for me. So yeah. All right. So that was a long break. Let's move on to our Tesla news. Tesla's leasing a 108,000 square foot R&D facility near Fremont, California, or actually it's in Fremont, California. It's near the Fremont factory. We don't know what they're doing yet there. It's just R&D, but we'll keep an eye on it for sure. Last week, we talked about Hardware 5 or AI 5. I feel like I have to I feel like I have to be specific, or I have to use both, Hardware 5 and AI 5, at least for the time being, because it's still being reported. When you read an article, it's like they'll say Hardware 4 and Hardware 5 or AI 5 and that kind of thing. So I feel like I have to do it too. But anyway, Tesla Model Ys built in Fremont are now being shipped with hardware 4.5, which is, up to this point, it's been hardware 4. So we're getting a little bump in specs for the new system. What we know about hardware 4.5 or AI 4.5 is that it's got more compute power, obviously. It's got a third chip, which they think is for redundancy, and it's just kind of the next step in the transition to AI 5, which we should see sometime mid-2027. The other benefit that 4.5 has is that it provides a little bit more headroom. Now, do I think it's going to, 4.5 is going to solve full self-driving? No, I do not think that. I don't know that 5 is going to be honest with you, but it does give the system more headroom so that, the people who have that particular hardware will be able to have more options of, maybe not more options, more capabilities in terms of full self-driving and other things that the car can do as well. So just a little heads up there. And then this is the big news. Tesla is no longer including basic autopilot with new vehicle orders. So that doesn't mean they're not providing any sort of level 2 assistance. It just means there's no more auto steer, no more lane centering, no steering assist of any kind. New buyers are still going to have, cruise control, which will, do speed and following distances, but you're going to have to steer on your own. The good news is if you already own a Tesla and you have this feature, nobody's taking anything away from you, which is good. I have heard some people say that Tesla is making these cars less safe by taking this away. And initially, I kind of had that same opinion, but the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? There are so many lawsuits out there on how Autopilot did X, Y, or Z, and it ended up hurting or killing people. I'm not sure that is the case. I'm not sure that removing auto steer is making you less safe. And then this morning, before I got on to record this, there was a Clean Technica article in my feed, and it basically said the same thing. Safety isn't meaningfully, I'm summarizing this here from the article, but safety isn't meaningfully affected because Autopilot and AutoSteer have not shown independently, they have not been independently verified that there's large-scale reductions in crashes or fatalities. So the system that they removed, the auto steer from Autopilot, it really hasn't shown to make any significant changes when it comes to large scale crash reductions. The systems that Tesla removed are supported as a more of a convenience feature, not as a safety intervention type feature. And I would tend to agree with that, especially like on, highways. I think Autopilot is maybe not the best thing to be using on surface streets. And I at one point in time, Tesla was like, don't use it on surface streets, but we'll let you enable it on surface streets. I don't know what the rule is now. But the important thing is Tesla retained the features that do have strong evidence when it comes to safety, which is the automatic braking system, forward collision warnings, basic lane departure avoidance, like, rails. When you kind of get too far over, the car will alert you and kind of bump you back into your lane, that kind of thing. They're keeping that. While I don't think they should have removed the auto steer, on the other side, it's not making him, less safe by removing the auto steer. So it was a convenience though. And I do sometimes enjoy having the auto steer in my car. I don't use it very often, but I do sometimes enjoy that. Now, for your trouble, because Tesla is removing auto steer, in return, they're going to give you 30 days of a free full self-driving trial, which is not generous at all, but there you go. And it's really, they're not giving it to you as a, hey, we're trying to kind of smooth this over. They're giving it to you because they want you to continue to subscribe to FSD. Now, we should give all the credit to Joe on his FSD subscription only prediction, as well as Autopilot going away. So that both those things Joe was correct on. Oh, another thing is, as full self-driving improves, Elon said the full self-driving subscription will get more expensive, which I don't even know how to tell you that this is a bad idea. Like, are you not looking around and seeing how much things cost? $100 is a lot of money. It doesn't buy you a whole lot of groceries here in the US anyway. And to make it more expensive, I think people are going to choose certain things over having Autopilot. I don't think this is a good way of doing business, to be honest. I think you're over anticipating what the value of this product offers for people. Like, if they can drive themselves to work and back most of the time without getting in an accident, why would they pay you $200 to do that? Or whatever the price is, more than $100. Why would they do that? I don't think they should or would. Now, I do have an official 918 digital and Kilowatt statement, a joint statement on Tesla removing full self-driving, removing auto steer and Autopilot, and the full self-driving subscription increases as it gets more capable. And that statement is, and lean in close because I want you to be able to hear me. Ready? Boo. All right. Moving on. Elon was at Davos and mentioned that self-driving is essentially solved. He mentioned that it's essentially a solved problem at this point, which is a bold claim in front of a bunch of world leaders that he would like to approve your full self-driving system, especially in Europe. I will say, Elon mentioned that he and Tesla hopes to get full self-driving, supervised full self-driving approval in Europe next month, which is in February at this point, and hopefully China in a similar time frame. Tesla has been giving European stakeholders free full self-driving rides, just to kind of demo. I don't know why I said free, just full self-driving rides, so that they can demo how the capabilities of the product is firsthand. And, I checked my feeds again right before recording, and I did see that Tesla is approved to test full self-driving supervised in Sweden. Again, this is a test for full self-driving on public roads in Sweden. The approval covers the Swedish Transportation Administration's entire road network, which I'm going to guess is like a freeway system in Sweden, as well as urban roads and highways in the municipality of Nacka. And that's it. That's the only municipality that they'll be able to test in. This is a small rollout, but I do think it's a big deal and a win for Tesla for sure. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully Tesla will be successful in the testing and get more approvals. Like, I don't want to keep full self-driving away from people. We'll see where it goes. But it's a big step for the company for sure. Now, I mentioned that at Davos that Tesla wanted FSD approval in Europe and hopefully in China in a similar time frame. As far as China goes, good news on the European front, because Sweden's part of Europe, or the European Union. As far as China goes, though, Chinese state media has released a statement, and they released it about 24 hours after Elon made his big claim. And they said Elon's statement about FSD being approved in China is not true. And I will say, to give Elon a little bit of grace here, he said hopefully be approved. Not that it was 100% going to be approved, but hopefully. And it doesn't it sounds like that's not going to be the case. So, yeah. Let's move on to our final Tesla story. I honestly thought that this episode was going to be about 18 minutes long, so I'm sorry, folks. Let's move on to our final Tesla story. Elon said on Tesla's Q2 2025 conference call, which was in July, like July 23rd, that autonomous ride-hailing ride-hailing taxis would cover half the population of the U.S. by the end of the year 2025. I don't think that that's happened. Clean Technica, and when he said it, I was like, that's a bold statement. Clean Technica has Clean Technica says that Tesla has achieved Robotaxi service in 0% of the country for 0% of the population. If I am being fair to Tesla, the numbers are just a smidge over 0%, but I get Clean Technica's point. That was in a very aggressive prediction, which, turned out to be not true, not the case. And it was a very silly thing for Elon to say. And I said that at the time, but I will say that this now, like, it's the same thing with the Donut Labs thing, right? Like, I don't know if it is a matter of some of these folks in these positions that make these promises. And again, I'm not lumping Donut necessarily in with Tesla and Elon, because maybe they don't want to be lumped in together. But making so many bold statements and not those things not coming to fruition in the time frame that you are stating, or even maybe you're not even delivering on the full promise. I don't know if I don't know what it is that would make you do that, other than, I know in Elon's case, like, he just makes so many promises, it gets buried. Like, it's hard to sort and keep the promises straight. But yeah, that just seemed like a really weird thing to say then. And I think it was like, when he said it, I was like, oh, I got to remember to look at this and see where we're at. And when the article came up, it said that, it made some big claim. The headline made some big claim. I don't remember what the headline said, but it was basically like, Robotaxi now covers nearly 200 million people. And I was like, well, that seems weird. So I clicked on the article, and then it was like a big, nope, that's not the case. So yeah. Another kind of Robotaxi related story, though. Tesla is or has started rides without a safety monitor with Robotaxis in Austin. And they made a big deal out of this, and they should have, on their Twitter account. But what they didn't mention is that there's a chase car behind these robotaxis that don't have safety monitors, and there's Tesla engineers following behind the car monitoring it. Now, I actually don't think this is a big deal or a bad idea, but I do think that when Tesla says stuff like this, and I'll lump Elon and Tesla together in this because I can't remember who exactly put out what tweet. But when they say stuff like this, and then it's easily shown there's a chase car behind these cars, just say it. Just say, hey, we removed the safety monitor, but we still have chase cars. But this is a big step because it is. I feel like you're taking away from your moment when you make a bold claim and then you find out, well, there's a chase car behind it to make sure that it's still operating the way that it should. And by the way, I think that it's a good idea to have a chase car behind these taxis. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm not saying they shouldn't be monitored. I'm not saying that they shouldn't be monitored to the micromanaged almost, in terms of what they're doing and making sure that they're doing everything that they should be doing. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying when you put out a thing saying we've removed the safety driver, and you have, but the safety monitor, that now the safety monitor is 10 feet behind the car. I don't know that that's kind of a step. It's a step in the right direction, but it's not the flex that you made it seem to be. Okay. Well, that's it for me, folks. If you want to email me, it's Bodie, Bodie at 918digital.com. I am curious about what cars you're excited about in 2026 or renewable energy and autonomous driving, any of those things. And then if, the product review stuff, where do you sit on that? At some point in time, I do feel like I would spin it out into its own thing. But for right now, I don't do enough of that kind of thing for that to make sense time-wise. Because there's a lot that goes into it. And there's already a lot of systems already set up for Kilowatt specifically that I have. So it'd make more sense to start off here and see where it goes. All right, everybody, that is it for me. I hope you all have a wonderful week. The next time we talk, we will be talking about Tesla's Q4 2025 earnings call. And then also, I still have quite a few interviews to get through. I'm currently editing those. It's just taking a little bit more time. My calendar for February is almost 0 second job work. So I'm super excited about that. And then, it picks up again in March. But for right now, February is going to be super chill. So I'm looking forward to getting a lot of things done during that month. All right, everybody, thanks again. I know I've said thank you multiple times. So let's just go ahead and end it right here.